Kia is continuing to fill the holes in its electric vehicle lineup. And most recently, it's responded to an unexpected but growing trend: the rise of the electric medium-sized car. But just how does the new Kia EV4 stack up against its very worthy rivals? Let's find out. Clearly the EV4 has got a pretty divisive design, especially for a medium-sized car, which is a category typically that has been pretty conservative in the way they're designed. Especially looking at the front here, headlights are a very vertical design, and that tends to accentuate how wide the car is. It's got a very steeply raked windscreen, and the drawn up design at the back here as well, where the rear window line is kicked up a bit, certainly accentuates that almost a coupe style looking car. But it's not really, and most people could assume that it does have a hatchback, but it's actually a conventional boot and the rear screen is fixed. A couple of interesting points about the styling down the side here. We've got this piano black cladding around the wheel arches, which is perhaps a little bit more unusual in a medium-sized car, in a sedan. The doors are quite a flat design, which is unusual given that other Kias, say for example the Sportage, have got a more complex design on the car with some very sharp angles. And the wheels, they're a design specific to this GT line variant, which is the top of the range. And obviously these door handles as well, they're more practical than some other pop-out door handles where you've got to actually just push one side and then pull it, whereas with this one they pop out for you. It's nice not to have to do a special handshake just to get your door open. So that's one plus. One interesting design detail on the EV4 is this little moulding here, which looks like an air vent, not really. It appears that the designers here were looking to just lower the top edge of this rear screen so that it looks a little bit sleeker. It's also a way of adding this extra crease here to sort of add a bit more style to the roofline as well, which is an old design idea that's been around for quite some time, but here it seems to work pretty well as well. The taillights on the EV4 are really a convergence point for some of those key styling features. The light itself reaches right up the side of the car, but that line continues right up to the middle of the rear door. And this styling at the back here, look, it might be sacrilegious to say, but it is a little bit reminiscent of the old Valiant Charger with this little upkicked spoiler at the back here. Spoiler might be too strong of a term. And the very cut-off rear end as well. It's maybe some kind of cam tail, to use an old racing term. So even today, it seems that some of those old styling cues from days gone by are still very much relevant. Overall, the design is divisive and not everyone's going to like it, but I like it. I think it looks great. And the designers have done well to come away with a design like this, given all the safety requirements they need to build into the car these days. So the boot capacity overall is 490 litres, but one thing to keep in mind with this vehicle in particular is this distance here, the height of the boot is relatively small. And the other thing as well is it looks really wide right here, but when you look in there, the width does converge. So definitely take that into account when you're doing your IKEA trips. The other one, of course, is under the floor. Like most EVs, there's no spare tyre, so there's just an inflation kit here, but there is a spot to keep your charging cable. At just over $56,000 drive away, the EV4 is more expensive than the BYD Seal, but it does easily slip under the entry-level price of the Tesla Model 3. That said, the entry-level EV4 Air gets a relatively small 58.3 kilowatt hour battery, whereas the mid-spec Earth and the top of the range GT line gives you a much more useful range from an 81.4 kilowatt hour battery. The Earth also comes with other handy features like an external vehicle to load socket, allowing you to power external items, as well as an auto dimming rear view mirror. But the Earth does leave out other items reserved for the GT line: 10-way powered and ventilated front seats, and a 10-speaker sound system. So with its bigger battery and slightly more affordable pricing, the Earth strikes a pretty good balance. The interior design of the EV4 is actually would be familiar to those who have driven recent model Kias and Hyundais. It looks like it's very tech focused, and it is, but it's also very easy to use, and you can see that a lot of thought has gone into making it that way. For example, while there is the climate control touchscreen in between these two major screens on either side, it does also have some hard climate control buttons as well that just make life a lot easier when you're driving and just want to reach and feel a tactile button. Looking further, look, this GT line has got a head-up display as well. You can see very clearly with polarized sunglasses even that driving data that you can select as well right in front of you just to keep your sight lines up at the level of the road, which is really helpful. The car's really practically laid out as well. You've got storage spaces in the middle of the console here. You've got a covered space underneath this little armrest here. Bottle storage for in the doors. Look, it's going to fit a standard sports drink bottle, but you're not going to get your oversized Stanley Super Sipper in there. You might need to hook up a trailer. Phone charging is well catered for on the front, as well as the wireless charging pad. There's also cable charging capability. There's multiple options on this little panel here at the bottom of the center console, which will mean you can have passengers and multiple other devices charging while you're driving. In terms of occupying the space in here, you might say, look, this GT line with the sunroof does mean that it's got a thicker roof, and while you might think that a sunroof will provide a bit of a gap, it also means that the surrounding fixed part of the roof is a bit lower, and it does reduce headroom a little bit. So in this particular variant, the GT line, that might be an issue for taller people, and they might want to go for an Earth model that doesn't have the sunroof. That's going to provide them with a little bit of extra headroom. The comfort of the interior is pretty good, and particularly it's really adjustable as well with these 10-way adjustable seats in the GT line, so you can pretty much find the position that you want. Personally, I wouldn't mind the seats being able to go a little bit lower. I prefer a little bit more space around my head when I'm driving. The head restraints are actually unusually quite soft and really comfortable. And the rear seats are pretty accommodating. It's no lounge room back there, but it's fine. There's plenty of space for this kind of vehicle for most body sizes. The design of the interior, well, look, it's a two-tone design. The actual material, it's a leatherette type of material. In fact, there's even a QR code on the passenger armrest. So if you're really curious, you can read all about their responsible material design, as they call it. So as with most electric cars, it's a very refined driving experience. Obviously no engine noise, just a low hum. And even when you're accelerating hard, it's not particularly noisy. Some EVs, it can be quite loud with that high-pitched whine that electric motors generate, especially the twin motor ones. If you're expecting the EV4, even this GT line with the bigger battery, to perform along the lines of the BYD Seal or the Tesla Model 3, particularly the faster models, you're going to be disappointed. It's not up there, but it is also from an established brand, and it's great value in other areas, like its long 7-year warranty. It's got plenty of dealer support, while it's cheaper than the Model 3 as well. The visibility out of the cabin's pretty good. Of course, as with all modern cars, you've got some pretty thick pillars here for safety reasons, but they're not too obstructive, certainly not like the ones in the VE Commodore from many years ago. The drive modes are really easy to access. If you wanted to go to sport mode, you can press the button in the bottom of the steering wheel, which lets you know with the red LEDs. So like plenty of new cars, the EV4 does have a camera here on the steering column that monitors drivers to make sure they're paying attention. And it's really pleasing to see this technology start to become more intuitive, better developed, and just the software that drives it become a bit more sophisticated, so that it only goes off when it really needs to go off. And it's nice to see that this sort of tech is just not generating those same number of false positives. This sort of vehicle would appeal to someone who wants the peace of mind that comes with a 7-year warranty. And it's also, not everybody wants or needs the performance of a very powerful EV, and if you don't need to pay for that and you don't need it, why not go for something that prioritises other things, like a good dealer network and an established brand like this one. So what do we like about the Kia EV4? Well, firstly, it's priced pretty competitively compared to its key rivals. And secondly, the Kia brand is much more established and better known than some of those rivals as well. And thirdly, the warranty that lasts 7 years and the reasonably affordable servicing make it that much more appealing as a longer term ownership proposition. And what do we dislike? Well, it's not really one for the performance fanatics. And secondly, the opening of the boot will have its limits with bulky items. And finally, the styling, it might not be for everyone, even though we like it. This top of the range EV4 GT line isn't especially cheap at $76,000, but it is a very premium feeling vehicle. And if you think of it in those terms, it is pretty good value. Its looks might be divisive, but with its 5-star ANCAP safety rating, Kia's established dealer network, and pricing from $56,000, the EV4 is a welcome addition to the electric medium-sized car category.